Well, our moms think we're funny. Hey everyone, I'm Acomi.
Hey everybody, this is Turk182.
So, welcome to Our Moms Think We're Funny.
Oh, and
So, it's a podcast.
it's our podcast.
It is. we just showed up here.
It's ours now, bitches. Sorry, I got like a mouthful of cookie right now.
Yeah, I didn't mean to... typically, I would just start the podcast on purpose when you had a mouthful of cookie, but this time it was an accident.
No. So,
So, what are we talking about, Turk?
okay.
You said you were picking the topic today.
So, last week, I had a dream. And, it was a pretty decent dream. But, and I don't remember everything. You know, when you first wake up, you remember, like, a lot about your dream.
Yeah.
And then, as the day kind of goes on, all the elements that you remember so well in the beginning just start fading away.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, if I don't write my dreams down, I never remember them.
So, I had this dream, and in this dream, I'd gone on a date with somebody, or I met this girl. Anyway, but in the dream, we kissed. And I remember, waking up, and it was like, oh, okay, I remember the kiss, and the sensations of the kiss. It all felt, in my head, it all felt like a real kiss. Well, I've kissed one before, right? I'm not trying to brag. I'm not trying to brag, just as a matter of fact.
Oh, yeah, is it someone I know, Turk? Or do I not know her? Did she move away?
No, I mean, I really have, okay? I mean, you'll get there eventually.
Fuck you.
Now, hold on. We got to start off with kissing first, and then we can move up to the actual sex.
Oh, shit, I've been doing it backwards all this time?
Yeah, there's a face in the clouds. You gotta learn to crawl before you learn to walk. But then I never let it get to walking. Just crawl, bitch, crawl. So I obviously I've kissed someone before, so I know what kissing feels like. But when I thought about it, I thought about back when I was younger, and I have dreams about things like that, and I had dreams about kissing a girl, and then when I actually did kiss a girl, it felt the same as it did in the dream.
Mm-hmm.
Before I had ever actually done it.
Okay.
Do you recall anything like that, or ever having a dream about something happening, and then when it did happen, it felt the same way as it did in the dream?
I'm gonna say sex was actually like that, honestly.
So, when you had...
Kind of weird to jump directly to that, but yeah.
So when you had sex was pretty much just like, wow, this felt just like it did in a dream.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. So that got me thinking about the movie Akira, which we've talked about a lot.
Oh yeah, great movie.
And the let's see, what I'm trying to think of exactly how I had it worded here. Thinking about Akira and the power of like the perception of dreams.
Right.
Because it seems kind of odd that we could dream about something, especially something that is a physical, like a physical sensation, before we've ever actually experienced it.
Yeah.
So, like, it kind of like people can tickle you, but you can't tickle yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Like, why? If I'm touching myself in the same spot that someone else would touch me to tickle me, why is it I can't tickle myself?
Right. Yeah.
So we're talking about a sensation here that can only really come from interaction with someone else. Like, again, not to get all sexual or whatever, but I can masturbate and it feels one way, but if someone else is masturbating me, it feels different.
Oh, very.
Well, why is it that we know what these sensations feel like before we've ever experienced them? And that's what made me think about the whole thing in Akira, where they're talking about how, there's the whole point where, is it Kay that says to Kaneda that how do the human beings go from these single-celled organisms to being able to build atomic bombs?
Right, yeah.
There must be something within us, something in our genetic code that we either unlock along the way, either as we evolve as people, and the more we evolve, the more we're able to access that. Or maybe it's always there and we just aren't able to, we don't know what it is, we're not able to actually to make sense of it, but it's always there.
Right.
Or maybe as we evolve, we then get to the point where this thing is kind of unlocked for us.
Yeah.
But in our bodies, in this case, we know what things feel like before we've ever actually experienced them.
Yeah.
Why is that?
I don't know.
So that's kind of what I want to talk about.
Yeah. That is interesting. I never really thought much about that.
Because it really is kind of odd when you think about it.
Yeah.
Why it's like, how would I know this? If I've done it before and I'm dreaming about it, not like kissing.
Right.
I've kissed before, so yeah, of course. I mean, like my mind's going to go back and like, yes, here is that experience. Mm-hmm. I'm going to pull from that memory,
right,
and I'm going to put into your dream. But before that, where are you pulling that from?
You know, this may like somehow kind of connect with like closure, or at least it's what Scott McCloud calls closure in Understanding Comics, where he talks about how the human brain fills in information that it doesn't see. And of course he's talking in the context of comics. He's saying that, like, you know, there's stuff off panel or stuff that happens in between panels
right.
that you don't see, but your brain fills in those blanks based off of, you know, here's what limited information I have. I'm going to use that to kind of construct the missing pieces.
Which is something I struggle with whenever I'm writing a comic book, is that I don't need to show every little thing to go from panel to panel. I can go from this panel to this panel, and of course your mind's going to fill that in, but sometimes I feel like I need to show that, but I really don't.
Right, yeah. And Chris Schweitzer actually talked about that when he was working on the Creeps book, too. Because there's a page where, like, one of the characters is like, hey, toss me a shirt, and he shows the panel of them, like, tossing him the shirt, and then it just lands on the character's head. And he was like, you know, he realized that it's like, oh, I can just take out this panel of them tossing the shirt, because all you have to see is that he says, toss me the shirt, and the next panel you see all the shirt landed on his head.
Right.
It's like, that's all the information you need. You can fill in, you know, from point A to point B without me actually showing it. So, so I think there's something similar to that going on with, like, dreams, where it's like, you do have access to certain sensations that, like, you can your brain kind of takes and then can extrapolate from. So whether that's like, you know, I've dreamed about wearing certain types of, like, clothing or materials that I hadn't actually worn in real life, and then when I actually wore it, it felt that way. I'm trying to remember. I feel like I've actually been injured in dreams and then, like, injured that way in real life years later, and it felt the same way. I could be misremembering that, though. But I think that's, like, you know, as far as that kind of thing goes, like, your brain does have pain receptors. It has been like, okay, well, you know, yes, you've hurt your arm. You may have never hurt your leg, but we know what that pain in the arm feels like. We're just going to dream about, you know, transferring that pain to the leg.
Right.
So I think that's the brain's way of executing closure. So even when you're doing something that's more, like, sensual, like, you know, physical contact, it's like you have had some form of limited contact with somebody, whether it's like, okay, so you've never kissed somebody romantically. You may have, like, you know, a relative might have, like, given you a peck or something like that. And so then it just extrapolates and builds from there.
But how does it know? It's like in the Matrix when they're eating the grits.
Yeah.
And Mouse says, you know, it's like, you know, how does Matrix know what this tastes like? You know, maybe to me, you know, this tastes like this. That's why everything tastes like chicken. You know, it was like, how does it know what to put that? So even if your brain is taking these different sensations and it's putting them together, how does it know that's the right combination?
Mm-hmm.
So here's something that is a possible, just something else to kind of think about. What if, in those times when your brain has, because obviously, you know, our dreams are manifestations of whatever is going on,
right,
in our lives. So I think a lot of times I'll when someone says something about a dream, I was like, oh, it could just be a piece of undercooked potato,
Right.
which of course no one ever gets. But yeah, that's a line from A Christmas Carol when he's first talking to the first ghost. And he's like, he's like, you're not really just a piece of like undigested meat or undercooked potato,
Right.
because if you ever have if you eat too much before you go to bed and you have a stomach ache, that will actually create a really bad dream or weird dream or a nightmare. Just like if when I used to live in my mom's house, where my bedroom was an addition that had been built onto the house. It was almost like a little sunroom. It had all these windows, but there was no because the house is older. It didn't have any ventilation, so I would shut the door, and I didn't have a fan in there, and so it would start off really cool, but then with all those windows, even with the blinds are shut, light would hit those windows, and that room would just get warm, and it would get warm real quick. And I would be in there, and the temperature would rise, and I'd start having these fever dreams. And sometimes fever dreams can be kind of cool. Sometimes they can be really bad. But it was all because of that heat.
Yeah.
Which is what you get when you go to like a sweat lodge or something like that. You get those kind of dreams. And then if you have a really shitty day at work or whatever, that kind of stuff will manifest in your dreams. Just like people are like, oh, I don't want to watch a horror movie and then go to bed. Well, why not? Well, because the things that you saw are going to show up in your dreams. So
horror movies don't usually affect my dreams, which is weird.
I remember the first time I saw American Werewolf in London. That night when I went to bed, I had a dream that I was constantly running, like from a werewolf. Like I was constantly running from a werewolf.
Yeah, and
it was like a continued It wasn't catching up to me, but I was like running constantly from it. It's just constantly running. It was weird. I'm trying to get back to where I was going with this. So you've got your dream is telling you this or that, or your dream is coming from like whatever's going on. So if I have anything like a sex related dream, it's probably because of something I saw or experienced during the day.
Right.
And the weird thing about dreams is like sometimes it's something you experience really early in the day that you may not even thought about any time later on, but it's there in your mind, and then it'll show up 16 hours later in your dream. You're like, what? Where'd that come from? I'm like, oh, that's right. I picked up that penny earlier, and it was like heads down, and I was like, oh, what? And it's like, oh, look, Abe Lincoln's on his face, just like he was in the theater. And then next thing you know,
so, there's a clip in The Office where one of the guys, he's like a tall, skinny guy, and he winds up like accidentally doing an Abe Lincoln thing. Like he just happens to be like walking through the park, and he finds a top hat, and he just like puts it on, and everybody surrounds him like, oh, here's the retrospective on Abe Lincoln's life. And so like at first he's just like kind of like nervous and like, no, you got the wrong guy. But then by the end of it, he's like totally into it, and he's like going through all the guy's details. He's like, well, my time is up. I have to go to the theater with my wife. And everyone's like, no, don't do it. He's like, I need her like I need another hole in the head. See ya. And he leaves. It's like such a good line.
Oh, what time is it?
Time. Well, 13 minutes.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah.
So these things that manifest. So if as someone that had never experienced the touch of a woman,
right?
And I'm having a dream about it. It's probably because there's some girl that I really liked in school, or whatever. Maybe she gave me a pat on the back or a hug or something like that, and then it later showed up in my dream,
right?
So what if, and again, just throwing this out there, what if when we actually do experience that, the sensations that we're feeling that are being translated to our brain, or being sent to our brain is translating into the preconceived sensations from our dream. So we're not actually experiencing it for what it is. It's taking that from where like, I think this is what it's supposed to be.
So your brain's already created the template of the feeling,
right?
And it's just applying it,
right? And then when you do it, it's like, okay, now I'm gonna take that. I'm just gonna translate it. Or I'm gonna like babble fish these sensations into this is what it is,
That makes a lot of sense, but that also makes me really mad at my brain because of the disappointing times I've had sex.
Right.
So,
and so that's why you know,
fuck you, brain, fuck you.
That's why every time I have sex, it tastes like chicken. So I'm just putting it out there. I'm not saying that's what happens, but just like a what if?
Like it's a plausible theory.
So what are your thoughts?
I mean that makes sense. I mean, like I said, the only other thing I can think of, the only like alternative explanation I could think of, is just that like your brain is taking what limited information it has and it's applying it to other like areas. But I mean, no, I mean what you're saying there makes sense. I've heard other people talk about that with like our perception of colors and things like that. That like you only know the color orange based off of what your brain tells you is orange. Mm-hmm. And like what's orange to you may look like something totally different to someone else.
Well, you know, I think it's kind of weird because they say that what we see is the refraction of light off an object. Mm-hmm. And this is what's really weird is that it takes light from the sun 8 minutes to reach the earth?
Yeah.
And so we're seeing that we're seeing the reflection of light off of something, but because of the light moves at tremendous rate of speed and all that, but theoretically speaking, and I could be wrong because I'm just kind of thinking about this. Just everything that we do, are we moving like a fraction of a second behind what we're actually doing?
Explain what you mean.
Okay, so if I'm looking, so let's say you throw a ball at me, right? The ball is moving, but I'm not actually seeing the ball. I'm seeing the reflection of light off the ball. Mm-hmm. But it takes time for that light to hit the ball, to hit my eye, right? And then register.
Okay.
So I'm going to act based upon what I'm seeing, in this case a ball coming at me, to catch it.
Yeah.
But I have to wait, but since I'm not actually really seeing the ball moving, I'm seeing the light reflecting off of it.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a whole, I don't know, like a micro of a second delay in that transaction there.
Okay.
So when I go to move to do something, I'm actually moving, like, in this case, maybe 2 microseconds behind the actual thing.
Okay. That makes sense.
So in that case, then, when you're playing like a sport or something, and throwing someone to throwing a ball at you, you've got to run. You've somehow trained your brain, in this case, to like, by the time I see this, like I'm actually I'm pre-anticipating what's going to happen before it actually registers to me.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, I'm spitballing here.
Yeah, I would say that those microseconds are not really perceptible, like, to our brains, just because of how we've processed light for thousands and thousands of years. But yeah, no, I mean, like it all makes sense as a theory.
And like the things we see, like light doesn't it, when it hits our cornea, mm-hmm. doesn't it invert it?
Yeah.
So does that mean everything's upside down?
No, because after it passes through the cornea, it reinverts it right side up again.
Well, that just sounds like slavery at extra steps.
Well, somebody's getting laid in their dreams.
I mean, really, what's the point of that, right?
If I remember right, I haven't done science shit since before I graduated. So.
I mean, that'd be like me talking to you, but in between, I have a Spanish interpreter, right? That then takes what I say, translates it into Spanish, gives it to another Spanish interpreter, translates it back to English, and then tells you.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I could be wrong, but I think that's what it does. You know what? Let's Google that.
Let's do that.
Learning is fun.
Not really.
Welcome to Science Cast, ladies and gentlemen.
Learning's a job, and a job ain't nothing but work.
Do the eyes invert images? Okay, let's see what Cora has to say. What? No.
What? No.
Yeah, I hate Quora. It's like the worst fucking website.
Oh.
Hate it, hate it, hate it. Um,
Oh, Quora is run by Siri.
that explains a lot.
Yeah. I've started my own website. It's called Fuck What You Asked Me. I'm going to tell you something else.
Um,
Yeah?
I'm just trying to make sure I find the right kind of answer.
Why don't you just go to like Wikipedia and just look up eyeballs?
Because then that's a lot of information, because it's not just going to talk about the inversion.
Yeah, but you could like scroll down to the picture where it talks about like how the light interprets, your eyes interpret light and like pictures and stuff, right?
I guess so. Light coming from your right hits a cone on the left of your retina. Yeah, this is overly... Get me out of Quora, please.
This is so funny. This guy's like injection needle. If you look at it, it's a hot glue gun.
Yeah.
It's been painted.
This is not a very good movie.
It's not at all.
Okay, human eye, Wikipedia.
Does it have a Wikipedia just for the human eye?
iWiki.
Hi, how are you? Uncle jokes. Bam.
Boom. So this movie is, what was it, like Anuyasha Bikini Samurai Squad or something?
No, it's Onabichin,
Japanese words.
Yeah, Onichambara Bikini Samurai Squad,
Okay, it's been a great movie.
which is a live action version of the video game.
Yeah. I'm glad they stopped doing the blood spatters in the camera finally.
Good, that's nice.
Structure, vision, I guess it would be under vision.
Oh, Under Pressure.
Doom, 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 doom,
Yeah,
doom.
the
Yo,
lights.
BIP!
I'm going so low. Oh my goodness, that took so many years off my life. Oh, that damn Vanilla Ice. Damn.
Oh, that damn Vanilla Ice!
Ah,
Fixational eye movements, vestibulo-ocular reflexes, smooth pursuit movement. All I want to know is about the ding-dang inversion. Yeah, I cannot find it on Wikipedia. They don't have the image that you were talking about.
oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Doesn't have the image at all. What is human eye? Thanks, Google.
Tommy Wiseau explains science. What is human eye?
Okay, so our eyes have convex lenses, and it does form an inverted image on the retina. The other part is handled in the optic part of your brain itself, and part of its job is to make the images right side up. Okay, so it's not another factor of the eye. The eye does invert it, but the brain writes it.
Okay.
So I was wrong. It's not the eye, it's the brain.
So because our eyes are convex, it automatically like inverts it, like when you're looking in a spoon.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Interesting.
Okay.
So we learned something.
Yeah. See?
A couple of fucking nerds.
You know what that means, though? We can actually mark this podcast as being educational.
Sweet.
Bam.
Is that better ad revenue dollars?
I don't know.
I think the
Bill Nye who?
I think the Lambda Moo episode was very educational.
Yeah. I tell you, Neil deGrasse Tyson better get back in the ring, baby, because we're taking over the science shit. Now all we gotta do is just get Jay and Silent Bob out of the way.
Oh my god, Neil, you're such a fucking nerd. Yeah, okay, interesting. Man, it's been ages since I've done any of this, like, human anatomy science stuff.
Yeah, here, Barkley. Silent Bob and I do the Science Says segments.
I would love to get Jason Mewes or Kevin Smith on the show.
That would be awesome. I doubt seriously they would be on there, but it'd be fun.
I don't think any of the celebrities we've talked about having on the show would actually come on the show.
Yeah.
We're terrible people.
We are.
They would want nothing to do with us.
I think that's the bad thing about our podcast is that, yes, we would love to have some people, but the things that we say, they're like, they would want to distance themselves so much from that. Like, even if our particular podcast wasn't anything like that, like,
Yeah.
we kept it really tame, and so I'd be like, no, but all the other ones would just be like, no.
Yeah.
No.
I think one of my biggest fears, though, would be, like, we finally get, some big name A-lister celebrity on the podcast.
It's a zombie Gogo Yabari.
It is. It's a good movie. But yeah, I like. We'd finally get somebody like that on there, and without even thinking, I would just like open up the episode with like the funny thing about retards.
A retard's a wonderful thing. Still tops are made out of rubber. The positive rate is free. Oh, sorry, you were going somewhere else with that, right?
Oh god, the CG is so bad in this movie.
Okay, the girl like saved the other girl with from the zombie.
Yeah, by shooting a shotgun at their general direction.
Right, he shot it at the head, but it didn't go through the zombie's head and kill the girl, which is what it should have done. And now zombie Gogo Yubari.
Yeah, this is.
Here's the thing: she's just as deadly as the regular Gogo, but I wouldn't do her.
Oh, of course not. She doesn't look anything like the actual Go-Go.
Yeah.
She looks really bad.
Yeah, she does.
I would obliterate the real Go-Go, though. Yeah. The actress.
So going back to the whole thing, I think it's interesting, just kind of like how our brain interprets and does things, and the idea of like what a sensation is, and how we interpret sensations is kind of odd. Like whether we're feeling it for what it really is, or is it our brain kind of like? I mean, if that's the case, then could you then teach your brain to say that this is not let's say like this is not pain?
Yeah, well, I mean, people do.
Well, I mean, are they just teaching themselves to block it out?
I don't know. I feel like something like the Shaolin monks or something are just blocking it out. They're like, they're doing the whole "I'm going to my cave" kind of thing,
Right.
And like they're separating themselves mentally from it. But I think there are people who actually do interpret pain as pleasure or whatever.
Well, yeah, like masochists.
Yeah. So yeah, I feel like there are some people who do that, and I think a large part of that has to be like the wiring of the brain. Because like me, I don't think there's any point where like getting like hit with a riding crop is at any point going to register as pleasurable to me. Because my brain is just not wired that way.
Right.
So.
Well, as I said, I was thinking about that, and I was thinking about, like I said, all the times where I had experienced something, and I was like, like how did I know that's what it would feel like?
Yeah.
And it could be that, they say that whenever we remember something, like every time we remember it, our brain is actually is rewriting that memory.
Right.
So we never remember something the way it really happened. Every time we remember it, we recall that moment, but our brain rewrites it and sees it again differently than it was the first time.
Yeah.
And I guess the longer it's been since the actual memory, the more things are, I guess, inaccurate.
Mm-hmm.
Which is odd, because this is something I heard on NPR, about maybe a couple months back, and they were talking about it, and they were saying that it was a thing with mice, how they were putting these mice in this like maze or whatever, and they had this cheese there, and they would go to get the cheese, and when they would get it, they would deliver a shock.
Yeah.
And so then they kind of learned that if the cheese was in this one spot, right, when they go in to get it, they would get a shock. So they would stop going there. And then they took the mice out of that and for like a week or so, and then put them back in, and the mice had completely forgotten that would give them a shock if they went to it.
Yeah.
And they had to kind of be retrained. So when they looked at that, they were like, oh, these memories don't actually stay in your head. That pathway or whatever it is isn't always there.
Right.
It has to be reconnected. And so when you remember something, like you're rebuilding that connection there, so it's never remembered the same. You're not tapping into like something that's already there, like going back, like you're like all your memories are DVR, and I'm just going back and rewatching it.
Right. Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like no, it's so maybe the idea of like these sensations in our head, like when we think back on it, maybe we're like wow, that felt just like it did in my dream. But maybe it really didn't.
Right,
maybe we're just going back and we're remembering it, and now we're replacing the actual sensation with what just happened, and saying, "Wow, it was just like in my dream."
Right. Yeah.
I think we could get a research grant off of that, and be like, "Yeah, so what we want to do is we want to have some really lucid dreams, and we want to fuck a bunch of women, right?" and we're gonna do this over like a 3-year period, and there will be times where we won't fuck any women, and then we'll kind of see like, is the brain, interpreting these things based upon the actual sensations, or now because he and I both have sex, or have had sex, we're gonna have to do with some different kind of things that we haven't had these kind of sex with. None of us, either of us has a threesome, or a foursome, or a fivesome. Okay, we've never had sex underwater, or in outer space, or in zero gravity. Have you joined the My Hot Club? Me neither. So these are all different things that we don't know how it's gonna feel, but we're gonna have some
space would be pretty fun.
Yeah, we're gonna have to, except for like when it's go time.
It's go time?
Yeah.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah. See?
I'm out. God damn these electric sex pants!
And you could not be with the girl that's a squirter.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, we were like, yeah. So these are all things that we're going to have lucid dreams about. And then we'll actually experience them, and we'll see if they match up in any way.
So where does one go to get a scientific grant?
I think you just have to kind of write about like a theory and a proposal, and you just, send to a university and be like, hey, this is what I want to do.
We should get started on this.
We should.
I think we could probably pull this off over a 3-year period for like $500,000.
Yeah, I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, $500,000. And I think the thing is, you also have to say, like, kind of like what you did in school, but like, oh, this is my hypothesis, this is my theory, and these are the results I'm expecting or that I'm thinking I'm going to get from it, or at least this is what it should, like, once all is said and done, I don't know what the end result is going to be, but yeah. I think this is where it's going to be beneficial to people, or what we're going to, like, learn from it. Yeah. And what we learn from this is, like, how the brain connects things, like, feelings and sensations, and memories.
Yeah, and executing closure.
Yeah.
Brilliant. And we can write a book afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Get those fat royalty checks rolling in.
All right. So let's take a small break, and then we will come back and see if there's any other sensations like that. We'll talk about see if there's any other sensations like that we've experienced. Like you mentioned, like breaking something in a dream.
Yeah.
And because I think we've been talking about the physical sensations, but we haven't talked about any like mental or emotional sensations that we experience in dreams before they actually occurred. Huh. All right, so break.
This is a really bad movie.
Yeah, but the chicks are hot.
Oh, so hot.
Like the new chick that just showed up?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. It's like each one they introduce is a little bit hotter than the last one.
Yeah.
This girl's not really doing it for me.
Not so much, but man, Leather Jacket Chick has just been tearing me apart.
I will say, though, in a very non-sexual way, the little girl they showed in the flashback, she was really cute.
Yeah.
She almost reminds me of, she doesn't remind me of her, but that makes me think of the little girl from Pacific Rim. In the flashback scene, she's walking with her shoe. She's so cute. Just so sad. She's holding her shoe in her hand, calling for her parents. That's so sad.
Yeah, that sucked.
And she does such a great job, too, when she like hides behind the trash can. She's crying.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's been a while since she's seen Pacific Rim.
Yeah, but I do remember that.
Yeah, she does a fantastic job with that.
It's weird how they're getting like so many better child actors these days. Because like, back in the 70s and 80s, you could just count on child actors sucking.
Yeah, I know, right?
They're horrible. And we're back.
Are you a kaiju?
I'm not a citizen, I'm a person, my name is Anakin. Kaiju are very, very dangerous.
My mom said, please we shoot black people. Is that true? Yeah, is that true? No, if somebody's doing something bad, I try to shoot them in the leg or something.
Yippee! Oh, child Anakin. So...
Now this is kaiju killing. I'm drift compatible.
I built my own Jaeger. Mom says I'm the only person who can ever do that. Good stuff.
Okay, so
so you were talking about like if we've ever had dreams or executed closure on emotional experiences as well.
Right.
Okay.
Have you?
I'm trying to remember because I kind of feel like I'd anticipated like how I would feel when a close family member died.
Mm-hmm.
And I think my brain was pretty right on that one, but I may just be like misremembering here. But and I think I've talked about this on the show that like the reality of death occurred to me at a very very young age. Like I think one of my mom's birds died or something like that. And somewhere within my little 3-year-old brain, it was like a few days later that it just occurred to me that it's like, oh wait, if animals die, then people will die, and eventually that means that my family's gonna die, and I just had a breakdown, and that has always very vividly stuck with me. That like that was when mortality kind of became a real thing in my brain, and I want to say that I had to have dreamed at some point about what it would be like for a family member to die. And I don't really remember having any dreams like that, but I mean, it's such a common thing. People dream about losing family members all the time. And I know when my grandma died that, like, that wasn't a totally, foreign feeling to me. Because really, it's just the feeling of loss. It's just exacerbated, like, to the nth degree. So it's not like it's a totally new emotion, but it's a familiar emotion to an extent that you're really not used to experiencing. So I have to wonder if like I must have dreamed that feeling, and it was probably a pretty accurate interpretation of what that feeling would be like in real life. But again, that's kind of a hot take on it, just because I haven't thought about anything like that in a long ass time.
I remember dreaming that someone I loved had died, and the and I remember like when I woke up that day, I felt horrible. Mm-hmm. Like the emotions that went along with that. Now they weren't dead, but I remember like the entire feeling of it. And like when I woke up, it was you. I woke up feeling drained.
Yeah, yeah.
And then and there was this sudden rush of emotions of like you said, like the loss and the pain that I woke up feeling, but like, what the hell?
Oh yeah.
And then my brain was like, oh, hey, last night I played you this movie, and it was like, why did you do that?
Did you like it?
I was like, no, oh my god! It's like, and you could still feel it, And the thing is, it wasn't real. Mm-hmm. It wasn't real at all. But I felt it.
Oh, and
then even after I woke up, I still felt it, and it's like, this is horrible.
Yeah, I've had moments like that, especially in light of like the past couple of years, and what all's going on with that, and like I'll have dreams about that kind of shit, and like waking up and just feeling mad.
Oh yeah.
Or just feeling like man, I just want to like haul off and punch somebody right in the mouth. And like I've experienced that a lot in recent years.
Well, I was telling you that this is not exactly connected, but I was telling you that there's a person at work that I don't not quite fond of, mm-hmm. And one day at work I was sitting here and I just kind of like passed by them, and then my mind just started this like going, and it just started running this like what do you call it Hold on. Give me a minute. Daydream.
Oh yeah.
Of like this person and I, like getting into a fight. And from the time it took me to walk from like the printer room to my desk, I was pissed.
Oh yeah.
And it was all in my head from that time. We were talking about like 30 seconds. For me to walk from the printer room back to my desk, and I was pissed, and I was just ready to go over there and just like beat some ass. And I was like, wait a minute, hold on, I just daydreamed this whole scenario, right?
You know what you do in that situation is you walk up to him, you go, "Hey man, I like to fight. I like to throw these hands.
Oh,
don't go to that party down the street. They'll smoke all your weed. Where y'all going? Going to dinner?"
Oh. Yeah, they'll take your weed and they'll smoke it with you, right? So, and I had to actually stop myself. I was like, whoa. None of this is actually transpired. Like, this is all in my head. But I was pissed. And I was like,
I've definitely had that.
I was like, dude, I was ready to fight. And I was like, shit. So it's just kind of weird, like how our brain takes stuff. Whether in this case it was just a daydream, mm-hmm. but it automatically just like got me going. and it just starts pulling information like, oh yeah, let's go. It starts like pulling levers and everything like a like an old cartoon or like a Rube Goldberg device. And oh, it's just kind of weird. And
I've still got that factory theme on my iPod.
So, but I did have in a dream once. I dreamed that that this was a long time ago. A long time ago. That I had a dream that that I got back together with an old girlfriend, and like we had a conversation, and we, you know, kind of made up, and then when I woke up the next day, I had this feeling like I had lost something.
Huh.
And I was like, man, it's like you just woke up and I'm feeling weird, like I felt like something was missing, like, you know, I was like, I couldn't place like it. It's like, what is it? You know, I was like, you know, like sometimes you ever get out of bed and you wake up and you feel like you're out of sync with like the world.
Oh yeah,
and you're like, it's just a weird feeling. It's just this weird feeling like I'm just slightly out of phase or out of tune, and it's just odd because you can't really place it. So I felt like I was missing something, and I couldn't really place it. It just felt weird, like you know, I'm missing something. Something's not right. Something and then it was like halfway through the day, and all of a sudden that dream kicked back in, and I was like, holy shit! It was like that's what I've been missing. It was like, because the whole thing, like, it all felt so real in the moment.
Yeah.
That then later, it was like, oh yeah, you made up with your ex-girlfriend. You guys were gonna start like move forward, like get back together, move forward.
Right.
But that didn't really happen. It was in a dream.
Right.
But you didn't remember the dream, or that you'd even dreamed. You just remembered the feeling like this ended.
Yeah.
And you don't have it now. And it kind of messed me up for a little bit that day.
Well, yeah, because like it kind of realigned your closure in the situation. And so it went from like, oh, this was resolved in this way, but now it's being resolved in this way.
Right.
But it's not. So yeah, that would definitely fuck me up a lot.
And the whole time I'm walking around, but like you're like, oh yeah, I'm missing something. And then I remember what I was missing, which was not something I ever had at all.
Yeah.
And it was just like it was so like weird and crappy, but then everything about all the emotions that came with that, which don't really exist, like it wasn't something I ever actually had, but in my dream, my mind, it built up all of this stuff.
Yeah.
And then it like dumps it on me. It's like, and now I feel a way about something that never existed in the first place.
Yep.
God, that's such a mind screw.
It is Camelot, he dreamed an entire relationship with somebody, just like somebody that he created in his head, but like he dreamed about like meeting them at a party, and that they started dating and got married and like grew old together, and she died, and then he woke up and it was like the most like horrific hollow feeling that he'd ever experienced.
You sure you hadn't been playing Roy the night before? This guy's taking Roy off the grid. He doesn't have a social security card.
This was like shit, probably about 10 years ago, so this was like a ways before Rick and Morty. It might have been 11 years ago now.
Man, that's bizarre.
Yeah.
Just, yeah, the brain, not to be trusted. You know, I think that's like a whole nother podcast topic, but how the one thing we rely on for so many things, just even to just keep our bodies going,
Yeah.
no, is the one thing that we really can't trust.
Oh, yeah.
And we shouldn't trust. It's like, but I need you so bad, but I can't trust you.
Well, it's almost like evolution is working backwards, because we've really grown complacent, and it's so easy to like mislead the brain. And that's why we're in like the political situation that we're in, because all these political campaigns are just emotional appeals.
Right.
Of saying, oh yeah, you know, I'll give you this stuff and I'll make you feel this way, and you know, look at this poor Native American man weeping over all the pollution on his land and all that. It's like, it's all just emotional appeals.
That guy wasn't really Native American. He's actually Italian.
Really?
Iron Ice Cody?
No, I had no idea.
Yeah. He's
me.
Yeah. It's me, ionized.
Just look at all the pollution, huh?
Yeah, ionized Cody is not actually a Native American. He's Italian.
You're too skinny. Have us some pasta, huh? Manja. Hey, smoke a peace pipe with me, why don't you, huh? What's the matter, you?
What do you want me to do? Like lose a war, sweat some ragu? Come on. That's not me being racist. That's from the movie Running Scared. I'm not just like making up some racist shit about Italians.
I like the idea of just Italian Native Americans. Yeah. Hey, welcome to my casino, huh?
It would just be like any other casino run by Italians.
Yeah, I'll break your thumbs and then I'll scalp you, huh?
That would be so. It feels so bad about getting screwed. It's like you're Native Americans. How could you do this to me? Oh, we're not really Native Americans. Oh, okay. It's just a regular casino. I get it now. Woo! For a minute, I thought I was being cheated.
Oh God, like an Italian Native American would look very interesting too. Got like the high cheekbones and like the bronze skin, but then like just hairy all over.
Oh, that would be because most Native Americans don't have hair. They don't have like
hair
on the body.
They're typically like very smooth skinned. So yeah, that would look really unsettling. We got to make a comic of this
because you're part eggplant.
You're a cantaloupe.
So yeah, I think it's really interesting, like how the brain just takes things in, and you were saying that all these appeal, like the election whole process, is all these emotional appeals, and we think about it like there's so many things that people do, even like the movie. You and I are big movie fans or books or whatever. It's like most of them are all emotional appeals. Yep. Even if you watch something that's like an action movie. So let's take something like John Wick. John Wick's an action movie, but the whole movie's an emotional appeal. You want this guy to get satisfaction.
Oh yeah.
And you're like by proxy, in almost like a parasitic way, like getting satisfaction from him getting satisfaction.
Yep.
But the whole thing starts off with like you pull on my heartstrings, like, oh, his wife just died.
Yep. She
gives him a dog. Now the dog's dead. And it's like, and it's like, oh, so now you've gripped me by my emotions and you're pulling hard and you're like, feel something. And it's like, and now I can't make everything right. I can't make it right. But now this guy's gonna try to get some kind of like, like redemption, and you're like, yes, I need to make this pain somehow go away. And you're watching him go through all this stuff. And then as he's struggling to do that, you've got, oh, he may not make it. This person's working against him. This person's working against him. And then it says more of those pulls in the heart. Like, no. But then the whole movie is here's an action movie. But no, it's not an action movie. Yeah. It's another like emotional appeal movie. It's emotional manipulation movie.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and that's what like that screenwriting book that I was telling you about, Save the Cat. That's what that's all about. Is that like you have to win people's like affections for the character in the opening scene.
Right.
And that's what Blake Snyder calls the Save the Cat moment. And like he's equating that with, oh, you got to show your guy saving a cat out of a tree. But it's anything that, like, you can relate to, where it's like, oh yeah, this is not a bad guy and something shitty's happened to him. So, like, in the case of John Wick, yeah, you've got that wife dying, you've got that dog dying, where it's like, ah, shit, he seemed like a pretty decent dude, I really hate this for him,
Right.
Like, he's not a piece of shit, so he really doesn't deserve this happening, and then just, like, he's on your side at that point. You are rooting for him from that point on.
And that's why when you have like the turn of those things where you see that kind of stuff happening and you realize that, no, this person really was a piece of shit the whole time. You're like, no!
Yeah. Oh, and that sucks. That's like the worst. I hate that. I hate when that happens in movies.
Yeah, but it's all these are these appeals, and it's almost everything that we experience nowadays are all these emotional manipulations. And from like I said, this organ that we need for everything that we do. I mean, it's the thing that keeps us alive, like I said, but that we can't really trust.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I think like once upon a time I think we could because it was like a survival thing. It's like the brain originally had like these paranoid moments of filling in that closure to be able to say, I don't see anything, but there could be something hiding.
Right.
Or something like that. And in a lot of ways that still carries over because like, and we've talked about like our different levels of paranoia. If a car is behind me and it takes the same turn I've made like 4 times, then I start to think, oh shit, something's about to go down.
Right.
Especially with me living in like a more rural area, then it's like they don't have any reason to be taking all these same back roads that I'm doing. Which I mean, of course, it never comes to anything, but that's where like the survival part of my brain is going.
You say rural. I say rural. Rural.
I hate that word.
So needless to say, we're both totally baked. But did I just say you say something about the Holocaust never happening? I know you remember that, right?
Yeah.
The amazing pasta maker.
Oh, that's good. But yeah, so I mean, like, I think that's the origins of where our brains started doing that was with survival stuff, and whether that's like, oh yeah, like Uruk is, he's not in his tent. He might be waiting in my tent to like club me in the head and take my land and my women or something like that. Mm-hmm. Like I think that's where all that got started. Is like I have to extrapolate this information because not doing so could mean my death. But then it just kind of moved on from there to, oh, I'm going to awaken other emotions here. Oh, look, puppies. Doesn't that make you happy?
Yeah. It's like
baby seals. Well, what happens if I hit them with this stick?
So, and I'm going to, hope you don't mind, I'm going to kind of ruin something for you.
Sure.
If that's okay.
No, by all means.
And for those of you that don't want to have this ruined for you, I would say maybe skip ahead 3 minutes.
Listen to a different podcast.
No, we're still doing this one.
Listen to Behind the Bastards. Ours is terrible.
Stop sending people over to Behind the Bastards.
Unsubscribe from our channel.
No! The guy who's hiding a Patreon from me is telling you to go listen to not listen to us anymore.
I'm scared of success. Don't give us any money.
Anyway, in Genndy Tartakovsky's Primal,
yeah,
it starts off with the main character, his wife and his kids being eaten by this massive dinosaur.
Damn.
And it's pretty brutal. And he tries to like help and stop, and he can't. And they get eaten by this dinosaur. And it's like, oh, holy shit. Because they're playing with him, they're having fun. And it's like, rawr. So then he's all angry, and he sets out, and he's on his way. And he encounters like this other dinosaur. And sees like the dinosaur has children. And because the children, like the baby dinosaur, playing with him. And then the mother comes along and is like, "Oh, I'm not doing anything, just playing with your dinosaurs. Your children." And the next a even bigger, like an Indominus Rex kind of thing,
nice.
shows up. Anyway, within the next couple minutes, or I guess seconds, both the babies have been eaten.
Shit.
The baby dinosaurs like, what the fuck? What, Genndy, what is their problem? I'm like, shit, dude. I mean, we just saw him go through this thing, and now he finds you. He was like, and you see him fight to try to save the dinos, and the mother dinosaur sees him fighting to try to help, and they're working together to try to keep this thing away. But nope, no matter, it's like even though they're fighting really hard, the big thing, like the same thing, ate his wife and children, eats up her 2 dinosaur children, and you're like,
that fucking sucks.
Yeah, I'm like, you asshole. I was like, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, whoa, what? It wasn't even emotional. I mean, it was like an emotional roller coaster because like the roller coaster, you got that first big drop, vroom, then it brings you back up. I hadn't even gotten all the way back up, and then it dropped, but it dropped lower than it did the first one. I was like, hey, that's not possible. Like, so now this roller coaster goes underground. I'm like, damn it, Genndy.
Oh, man. So we just cut to, like, an interview with Genndy Tartakovsky, and he's like, I just can't stand for people to be happy.
Yeah, I was like, you Russian bastard. I can only think of, like, that scene from Avengers. It's like, it's like, I tend not to weep over these kind of things. I'm Russian.
Oh, man. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
No, it's interesting when the hits just like keep coming and just like get worse and worse and worse as it comes.
So I don't think we really got any resolution to the questions here, but
Well, we're not scientists, so
that's one of our problems.
damn it, Jim, I'm a podcaster, not a doctor.
So yeah, we're not doctors. But
If somebody wants to award us some honorary doctorates so we can conduct our research.
and yeah, and I will definitely insist on everybody calling me a doctor, even though I haven't actually gone to school. I just got an honorary degree, but I will insist that you refer to me as doctor, and I will not answer by anything else.
Worked for Bill Cosby, so
That's why I got those pills. Well, see, I'm kind of a doctor, and
you see this? This says honorary doctorate. That means that I'm a doctor.
So I actually was had a conversation with my boss. I told her like I have a problem here, and I said I'm not willing to die on this hill, but I am willing to fight damn hard on this hill before I give up. Which is I cannot stand when people who are doctors insist on being called doctors.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no,
And
I agree.
I fucking hate that. I hate that so much. And the more you insist on it, the more I won't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it goes for me just greeting you in a very formal, and respectful way, to me treating you like a piece of shit, because that's what you're in my mind, that's what you're asking me to do.
Yeah,
If you're my actual physician, I'll refer to you as doctor.
yeah, in the office.
Right. Well, I mean, even if I see you out of the office, oh hey, Doctor So and So, right? Because
Well, yeah,
you're my doctor.
That's fair.
But if you are just a doctor, I'm not gonna call you doctor whatever. And if you're like, oh, well, my title is, I don't give a shit what your title is, right?
There's never been a point where I've been talking to a lawyer and like referred to them as Esquire.
Right. And most lawyers actually don't even put Esquire as part of their signature.
Right, right.
I don't. The captain of a boat or a plane doesn't insist that I call them captain. Even the military guy is a general, right? Some of them are hard asses, and they'll be like, when you meet like his daughter, or whatever, it's like, yes, general. But other than that, he's just, sometimes people are like, don't call me sir, I work for a living, which I think that's like, fuck you, dude. Come on, really, just let that shit go. Like, I'm not an officer, I work for the. Oh, okay, whatever, but they don't insist on being called, I was a lieutenant or whatever. Like, no, there's like, I'm just a guy, you can call me Mister or whatever.
My grandpa was a drill sergeant in World War II, and like there was no point where he insisted on anybody referring to him as sergeant.
Right. But somehow,
outside of the army.
Right. But somehow doctors insist not, call me doctor. No, I will not. I will not, because your friends don't call you doctor, right?
Yep.
Do you call any of the other doctors doctor? No. But for some reason, when you meet a stranger, you call me doctor. Fuck you, ninja. I am not calling you doctor.
Next time a medical student tries to pull that shit on me, I'm gonna say only if you refer to me as Archmage Acomi.
Yeah. It's like, no, please call me, master printer technician Acomi. Because no, refer to me as comic creator extraordinaire, Turk182. And it's like, well, you haven't earned that title. The hell I haven't.
Right.
How many comic books have you written? Right? And, have a Coke and smile. Shut the fuck up.
Before I became a printer technician, I met a printer technician whose nickname was Mopod, which stood for Master of Prince of Darkness. It's like, okay, you're crazy as shit, but I like it.
So as you guys may have know, because I'm not sure how much I went into it on the podcast, but I have created my own religion.
Oh yeah.
So I am technically Reverend Turk182. I don't ask people to call me that.
You get hella good tax write-offs on that too.
Yeah. So I created my own religion. I could technically insist on people calling me Reverend Turk182, but I don't. Because it's not that important to me. You just treat me with respect, and you just call me Turk182, Turk to DP, Turk to the P, Turkarello, But yeah, I can't stand that. That fucking pisses me off, because that's some shit that makes me want to shoot a ninja. I'm just like, physician, heal thyself, kablam! Because I'm like,
If I ever get the call that you've been arrested for killing somebody, I'll know why.
yeah, I'd be like, they insist on being called doctor, didn't they? Like, and you'll be just like, well, and then you had it coming.
God, you'd be a hard person to testify for in court. Like, has he ever exhibited these tendencies before the incident? Yes. Yes, he did.
Is there any proof? Yes. Podcast season 1 and season 2. Yeah, I will not.
And would have been season 3 if it had happened later.
If it hadn't been for that lousy doctor. But yeah, I mean, I absolutely cannot stand that. I mean, that's some ego shit. Like, look, I am not gonna, like, like doctor you to a happy ending just because, you feel like no, I insist on being called that. And, you insist on my ass walking away. I walked away on the person when I was at my old job. And it wasn't over the doctor thing, but this is just kind of the whole, like, I will walk away. So I taught some people how to do something, and this person was in a supervisory role. They weren't a supervisor, but they were like they were kind of like a like a supervisory role. And I asked them, they needed help with a system issue, and they're like, this thing's not working right, and I was like, well, you're supposed to do this, and I was like, well, have you been in this program? And they were like, no. I was like, really? Because in your role as this, like, mid-level supervisor, you should be in this program every day. How are you answering questions about these things if you haven't been in this program? Because you need to have that open to look at this stuff to be able to answer these questions. And I don't even remember my password anymore. I'm like, what the fuck? Yeah, you don't remember your password to get in? Like, I don't understand. And I was like, do you remember? I was like, we just had this training thing. I just taught you this stuff like 2 weeks ago. I was like, do you remember this? And I was like, it's like you tell me yes, or else I'm gonna walk away. And they were like, no. And I walked away.
Well, yeah.
And so I was like, you're not in the one program that you need to. How are you possibly assisting people when you're not in a program that you would need to be in to be able to answer their questions? I taught you some shit like 2 weeks ago, and you not only haven't been using it, but don't even know how to log into it or have even the handouts that I gave you.
Yeah.
And I walked away, and they never spoke to me again. I was like, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm not here to wipe your ass for you. I gave you tissue and a handout and everything, and now you're going to come back to me like I'm your personal bidet. Kiss my ass.
Right, yeah. No, I mean, like, it's part of their fucking job.
And I went to my supervisor and I told him, I was like, this is exactly what happened. And I was like, no, I'm not helping them. And they're like, well, I can understand and everything. It's like, if something comes, from their supervisor, they apparently, and the thing is, they didn't go to their supervisor because they would have to explain to them why I walked away.
Right.
And they didn't want to do that, so they just never spoke to me again. And I'm like, don't do me no favors.
Right. Don't threaten me with a good time.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I don't get what people's aversion to technology is, like, on the job force. Yeah. It's like, and I especially see it a lot in the medical field, where it's like, oh, to become a CNA or an RN or whatever, you don't have to have any computer training. But it's like, but every fucking thing they do is still on the computer. No, it doesn't affect, like, how you take care of a patient. If somebody comes in with a hurt finger, computer skills aren't going to fix that finger. But at the same time, it's like, well, then you have to go fill out their patient information. You have to run their records. You've got to print off the records, print off all the information the patient needs, print off their prescription stuff. It's like, and these people come into it not knowing how to use computers.
Yeah, I actually had a person once before, and they didn't know how to use Outlook because they'd only use Google Mail. And I'm like, but the difference is only cosmetic.
Yeah.
It's still the same thing.
Right, yeah.
How could you not know how to do this? I mean, I understand you haven't used some of these functions before, but
yeah,
it's still the same thing.
I mean, Outlook is glitchy as hell, but I think it's a little bit easier to use than Gmail, honestly.
Yeah. Because in Gmail, I'm like, oh, compose.
Right, yeah.
And I'm like, really? Compose?
You just gotta hit the big plus sign now. Yeah, no, I mean, like, just working IT, that is a big frustration of mine. Of, like, no, on the surface, that's not, like, necessary to do your job, but it is still part of your job. And I mean, shit, I've had people who haven't known the difference between left clicking and right clicking. Where I'll be like, okay, just, right click on this icon so you can hit open as, and they'll just, like, stare at their mouse. And it's like, you fucking know left from right. And you know that a computer mouse has a left button and a right button. This is not hard.
I don't know which one's the gas and which one's the brake.
Man, that's another thing. God, that pisses me off. I don't know what it is about the medical facilities in this area, but people don't know how to park for shit.
No.
Like, one of the main hospitals that I do, like, probably 80% of my printer repairs at, has, like, a 7-story parking garage. And you have to bypass, like, so many empty lots because the car next to it just parked way over the white line.
Oh, we have a car at my job, and we're way off topic here. We have a car at my job that actually will park purposely in 2 spots, but they don't straddle the line like
they
like
just purposefully park at a 45-degree angle.
No, they will straddle the line, but they won't center their car in it. They will go like maybe 2 feet.
God, yeah,
over,
yeah,
every day, and they drive a Honda like a Accord or something like that. It's not even like a big span. I'm like, wait a minute, you're driving like a 20-year-old car, and you're parking it like it's made out of gold or some shit.
I'm not sure.
Every day you park like that, and I'm like, and every time I see it, I mean, obviously I can't do that for a variety of different reasons, but every day, huh?
You want to key him?
Well, no, I want to like baseball. When kids starts playing baseball, it's like, what's wrong? I'm afraid to get hit by the ball. So what do? You hit him with the ball. Like, now you know what it feels like. So it's like, oh, I don't want my car to get beat up. Now I beat the shit out of your car. Now you know what it looks like. Fucking park the right way, asshole.
You should get some sidewalk chalk and just like mark lines on either side of where they actually put the car and just like write dick face parking.
I wish like one day someone would come in and like I would park really close to one side and they'd park really close to the other.
Oh, yeah.
And then just block them in, and because it doesn't make any sense. Like, and again, even if they were like monstrously fat, right? And so they needed that extra space to get out. One, you're not driving that car if you're monstrously fat because there's no way your fat ass is sitting in that regular seat. If you need that much space to get out, So he's not like the guy from The Simpsons like, do you think there's something funny when I'm driving my automobile? Everyone needs an automobile to get around. This was the cheapest one I could find. You haven't seen that one. No. Nelson Muntz, like, he's like points at a guy like in a like Volkswagen. He goes, and the guy gets out. He like unfolds himself in the car. He's like 10 feet tall, but he's like all squished up in this bug. So I'm like, so I know that's not it. Like, you're just parking like an asshole.
Yeah.
Just to park like an asshole.
Yeah, it's just asshole parking.
And because no one's calling you on your shit, you feel like it's okay. And like every time I see that, I'm like, no, it's not okay. It's not. So it's at the end of the world? No. But it's still that whole thing of like, you're like, everyone else is parking the way they're supposed to. Mm-hmm. You have decided that you don't want to, and no one's calling you on your shit. So you're like, yeah, this is okay. I can do this, and the rest of you guys are fucking lemmings. Mm-hmm. But he goes, but I do what I want. Yeah, it's like no, it's like whatever. I do what I want. I'm like, no, no. I want to Mr. Majestic that shit so bad. I'm like, oh man.
Oh man, yeah.
I'm sorry. It's the mechanic. I want a mechanic and not Mr. Majestic.
Yeah, no, it's very infuriating. Like road rage is a very hit and miss thing for me. Like I'll yell at people if they do something really flagrantly stupid, but because I thought that driving more would have actually exacerbated it and made it worse. But as much driving as I do, like I don't really have the oomph in me to get mad at every little thing I see on the road anymore. Because, I mean, I drive hundreds of miles a week for my job. But there's just something about being in a parking garage, and it's like, I have driven by 8 spots just because people are parking crooked and parking over the line like dick faces. And there's just no reason for it. And that just kicks off road rage for me so much. And I say horrible things, like the likes of which have never graced this podcast.
I am a print man for the county. Oh, so we are so far off topic.
Yeah. It's a thankless job, too.
Yeah, somebody's got to do it.
We're actually an hour and 8 minutes in, so
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we're kind of done with everything that we were supposed to be talking about.
yeah, I think so.
And then we just went off on a tangent here.
We definitely need to look into getting that grant because sounds like a good time.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, yeah. What do you call it when like you join when you join the Mile High Club at sea?
Um,
This is like the Mile Fathoms Club or
the 20,000 Leagues Club.
oh yeah, the 20,000 Leagues Club. There you go.
Yeah.
What was that? No, see that's under the sea.
Yeah, leagues are under so knots.
So you'd have to have sex on a submarine for it to be the 20,000 Leagues Club.
Yeah. No, so boats travel by knots. Or clicks. Is it knots or clicks?
No, knots.
Okay.
Yeah. Click is a military term short for a kilometer, I believe.
Ah, okay. Because, God forbid that they just say kilometer.
Good googly moogly. So, yeah.
All right. But yeah, so this is us asking the big questions, ladies and gents.
Yeah, man. See, it's not always just dick and fart jokes, man. Sometimes we actually we're like, hey, I'm curious about this.
Yeah. No, I feel like you're a little bit better about bringing about the serious stuff than I am because I just like the stupid hypotheticals. But yeah, no, this has definitely got me thinking. And hey, we had a good sciencey moment.
I just gotta say this as we're wrapping up here. I'm flipping through channels. There's a movie called 4 Got 10.
Yeah.
Right. The number 4, GOT, the number 10. And on the movie poster, it shows Danny Trejo as what looks like a police officer.
Yeah.
I love Danny Trejo. I think it's awesome. But there is no way in hell I could ever buy Danny Trejo as a cop. No way. No way at all.
Yeah.
Danny Trejo as a cop?
No.
No, I could never buy that.
Yeah, I don't think I can really swing that.
I mean, if I called the police and Danny Trejo showed up, I'd be like, "You're not a cop." He could have a bunch of cops around and be like, "This guy's not a real cop."
Yeah, Danny Trejo, you're awesome. Come on the show.
I like how we always ask people to come on the show that never listen to the podcast and would never actually hear us ask them to come on the show. Like someone's going to hear and be like, oh, hey, these two guys and everything I was listening to, right? They were actually want you to be on the show.
We've got to have that one listener who follows all the celebrities on Twitter and just retweets them all the time. It's like, hey, you should listen to these fucking losers. They want you to come on their show.
The only person that would possibly would be us. And, I can't stand Twitter.
I'm trying to get better about Twitter.
I've actually just given up and just said, fuck it. I don't like this thing at all. I hate it so much with a passion.
I don't like it either, but I mean, there's just it's too much exposure as an artist for me to pass it up. So I have to force myself.
I think this is how much I hate Twitter. This is how much I hate Twitter. The you know how I hate having the little icon on my phone that tells me that you've got so your little red circle with the number in it, that you've got these many things that you need to look at or whatever. That and I like in Facebook, I'll just go in it long enough to make it go away and then done. I do not do that with Twitter. I was like, shit, I want that thing to go away, but I know that in order to make it go away, I have to open the app and okay, yes, I tapped on it. I've seen them, and I will not do it.
Yeah,
I will not. It'll go up to get up to 10 before I go in there and clear it out. And I hate that red. And
I just turn off push notifications on most of my social media. I don't on Facebook, but
see, I assume that maybe somebody may actually want to contact me since I don't go into it regularly. The only way I would know is if I had the push notifications on. But yeah, I cannot stand Twitter. I hate it. I find it completely pointless. And even if something good came from it, I would still find it pointless. I mean, just because something's pointless doesn't mean it can't produce a nugget of generosity every once in a while.
Right.
But yeah, pointless.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for giving us a listen.
Yeah, man. Make sure you check us out on Twitter. I'm at Turk182_KE. And
I'm on Twitter at Acomi Draws. Give me money and I'll draw for you. You don't even have to like the podcast. Just give me a request and I'll draw for you.
Yeah.
You want to see Sonic's sexy, crinkly feet? I'll do it.
Or a old prospector looking guy. I'm sorry, you started laughing, but why you laugh?
Well, we're an hour and 15 minutes into this one, so we need to save it for another episode. But
Oh.
tune in next time, folks, and we'll tell the story of my old prospector character.
Somebody's trying to obfuscate.
No, I'm just trying to have these at a reasonable length. The longer these are, the longer it takes me to edit them.
And that's why your girlfriend kicked you out of bed. She's like, I just want something at a reasonable length. Okay.
Oh, that's good. Cool as Ice is on this. No, it's on Tubi.
Oh no, this is Con TV.
Oh, it's Riff
well,
Tracks.
it's through Tubi.
Yeah,
though.
but it's Riff Tracks.
It's
Well,
Riff
fuck
Tracks.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's disappointing. Anyway, yeah, we'll catch you guys later.
Zang, yo.
Did you hear what happened after the
All right there, folks. That was Our Moms Think We're Funny. Let's give them a hand.